obviously he was pretty much unhittable.
Jennings has got it to second for one, the relay in plenty of time. And now into right center field. That's going to drop for a hit. His first RBI.
The guy's going into Shea Stadium, a fairly intimidating building, and he kind of just walks all over everybody. There's no way that Jason Jennings has ever forgot that day.
What a pitch by Jennings. Jennings is 2 for 4. What more can you do for us? This one is over the wall, a home run. His big league debut, and he hits a home run, his 3rd hit of the night.
I'm sure that people ask him what was his greatest game, and that one has to be number 1 on his list.
Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use that promo code DNVR20 because when you do, you get 20% off your entire purchase of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich, and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. I'm your host, Drew Kreisman. I'm the managing editor of DNVR Rockies. With me, as always, is beat writer Patrick Lyons. And on this episode, we have got a very fun thing planned for you. I know we're excited about it. I hope all of you out there are half as excited as we are to do this very fun and silly thing we're going to do today. Unfortunately, Patrick, before we can do our what we're calling the NA-Stars draft, that is, we're going to pick the best players in Colorado Rockies history who have never been an all-star.
Never.
Sounds like I got muted, but we're going to have those theoretical teams assembled, and you'll get to vote on who you think is the best. And we get to celebrate, Patrick, some of the lesser known, but oftentimes still most beloved players in Colorado Rockies history. And that's why I'm especially saddened on this day. We have to start with these Nolan Arenado rumors. And I'm going to say this just up front. We're going to give you some top line takeaways. We can't not talk about it. That's one of the things that's always so frustrating when something like this happens, when a national writer kicks up enough dust that all of Rockies town, all of baseball town is talking about this Nolan Arenado rumor to the Mets from John Morrissey, who, in my recollection, has never been right about the Colorado Rockies, but still we all go and have these conversations. And so it is frustrating because I want us to we're going to spend most of our time today doing what we plan to and having some fun celebrating these guys. And we're going to get to that very, very quickly. But since this is out there, I just wanted to say that, it is always funny to me when you look at the exact wording of these things we've talked about before. The Rockies have thought about potentially trying to engage with the Mets. Okay, that's sure. But I will also say very briefly, Patrick, like I said, we're going to dive into this, I think, a bit more tomorrow. If people really want to do the nitty and gritty, I feel like we've said most of it before for other Nolan Arenado rumors. Most of it applies to this. The one thing I will say is that the Mets are the team it makes the most sense for the Rockies to try to trade Nolan Arenado to. And I won't say there's a 0% chance that this thing happens. I'll just remind everybody the sequence of events here, which is that a source told a reporter that they heard that the Rockies might be interested in doing a thing. And then that same reporter said, well, if that's what the Rockies are interested in doing, here's what I think would make sense for the Mets to send back. And those are the names that everybody's reading today. To not get that twisted with the Rockies called the Mets and said, hey, can we trade you Nolan Arenado for Robinson Cano, which is a conversation that did not take place.
Yeah, there's not too much to say about it because, again, when we get to this point in the offseason, people just are looking for news to kick around, and the Rockies can kind of be the whipping boy, I think, of baseball, and sometimes, and just look at the roster and say, all right, who could other teams benefit from having? And this is a discussion that a lot of teams end up getting dragged into, and if you're not a contender, it can be a little bit harder. We did hear it, I think, after the 2018 season about, maybe John Gray and how the Red Sox would be interested in John Gray. But there was a good 2-year window when people weren't trying to pillage the Rockies roster and say like, oh, we're going to take those guys because the Rockies need them because they're a contender. And, it happens a lot more frequently if the team's, not playing well. But yeah, these are just rumors. The Rockies would not benefit them one bit for it to go out into the media or even to call the Mets themselves to say, so what are you going to give me for this thing? Because that's not a good way to negotiate. That's not a good way to have leverage. Right. Somebody has to make the first phone call. Someone, has to get the ball rolling at a certain point. And maybe this is the way that the Rockies, or maybe this is the way that the Mets want to get that ball rolling. And someone picks up the phone and go, how about this John Paul Morosi? He's such a character. But no.
So anyway,
right? Doing something like that. So this doesn't mean, So maybe to clear it up,
the Mets trades on this podcast that look good. So we're not ruling it out. Yeah.
No, but maybe what you're trying to say in less words is the Mets and the Rockies are not negotiating for a Nolan Arenado trade right now.
Right.
Period. They are not. Right. They may.
Oh. Right.
It may benefit the Rockies to do that depending on the package that they get. But no, there are no negotiations happening right now between the Mets and the Rockies. They're just things floating out there, and it floated over here. So it floated into a new solar system.
Totally.
And therefore it was plucked, and Robinson Cano is going to be a Rocky player, in a couple weeks time.
I know, right?
Not necessarily.
It is not the sort of emergency level story and situation it's being treated as, and we have no obligation to treat it as such. It's interesting, and so we'll talk about it tomorrow, but we're going to get into the fun thing. We're going to toast our Breck brews back on the Hot Peak IPA, Patrick. I can't stay for too long until I get some of that juice drop, until I get some of the new one, and they got to send it my way. I got to get out there to the bar, pick one up, but
are you silly?
I got the Hot Peak IPA
You
today.
just got to send it. You got to send it to Drew, man. Let him get that juice drop.
That's right. Bring it my way. Toast your Breck brew to some of the great names in Rockies history who never got to play in an all-star game. And there are some fun names here that we're going to get to walk down memory lane. But of course, the question comes up of how do we decide who gets the first pick in this draft? And just before coming on, I devised a very quick trivia game we can play, a little bit of hit for the cycle that we can do with super producer Kale. You got to come in here, and it's all up to you at this point. It's all in your hands. And what I've done, because I've got to make sure that everyone realizes is fair. Patrick didn't know it was coming up ahead of time. So if Kale gets the answer to the trivia question correct, I get the first pick in the draft. If he gets it wrong, Patrick gets it. But Patrick gets to help create the trivia question, because I'm going to say that Kale can name the best two hitters, one of the best two hitters, let's say by OPS plus, that's a fair way to measure it, on any Rockies team in history.
Is it OPS plus?
Sure.
Is fair? Look at the shock on this poor man's face.
Just think best hitter. You don't have to know what you just think of the best hitter on any given team. Now, Patrick, you pick a year in Rockies history, and Kale has to name one of the top two players in OPS plus from that year.
And if he names two, I go?
No, just one of the two. If he can name one of the two players.
Okay.
Who was the top two guys in OPS plus any year, any random Rockies year of your choosing.
Okay. That's good. I like this.
So while you're looking up, let me explain the rules.
Board game potential.
Yeah.
It's two-pronged.
Definitely
two-pronged. Okay.
So let me, while you're deciding on that, let me explain the rules to everybody for the draft we're about to do. So they can never have been an all-star for the Rockies. They can have been an all-star in their career, just not for the Colorado Rockies. There's not a ton in that category, but there's a couple of key ones. There's a couple of key ones. The other thing to remember, like with these kinds of drafts, right, is you're getting the Rockies version of them. I made a quick little list, Patrick, before we get into this, of fun names in Rockies history that if this rule didn't exist, you could create quite an interesting team. Really, the captains of that one are Dale Murphy and Steve Finley, who both spent the very last year of their careers with the Rockies and hit under 200 and just hung out until they just couldn't play baseball anymore. There were 2 catchers in that category, Sandy Alomar Jr. and Charles Johnson. Both have Rockies years on their history. And one I totally forgot about that I remembered because we were doing this exercise. Kind of a rando, Scott Podsednik was a Rocky for a year, and not a good one, but he had a very good Chicago White Sox career. And in fact, he's one of those guys, I got to add him to other research you and I have been doing. The worst hitting year of his career came as a member of the Colorado Rockies.
Hey now. So how many players do you have on your list? How many players did you scout for this?
Oh, total? I didn't do the list. I
counted up 107. Okay. I have 107 players. Wow. And we're getting 20 guys on my team, 20 on Drew's. So did 67 more than I needed to, but you never know where you're going to.
I was going to say I did like 60.
Okay, we're going to see what's going to happen with those last.
But I got
maybe.
I know what's up. I know where we're at right here.
All right, so we got to figure out who goes first. So I'm going to pick a year, and if Cale can pick one of the top 2 hitters from that season, I go first. If he whiffs on one of the top 2, you go first. Yes?
Yeah.
2018.
He flipped it, but that's fine. 2018.
So that's not this last season, but 2 seasons ago.
Sure. Yep.
So the year of the wild card win against the Cubs.
Yeah, just go. Come on. Who? 2018.
I'm gonna say Nolan Arenado.
Okay. All right. So Drew has the second pick.
All right.
There's only one, right? You only need one.
Yeah.
Who would be second if you had to guess? If you had to guess another guy from way back then. Way back then in 2018.
Probably David Dahl.
Oh,
from that year.
So you should have made it a little bit harder there.
Yeah. I should have made him have to get both of them. But
not bad though. That's still a solid pick. That's still a solid one.
Was it Trevor Story? I don't know. I feel like he struck out so much that year.
Yeah.
No. But it was, it was the year before where he really, I mean, he still strikes. I mean, Trevor Story always strikes out, but sometimes he also hits like 40 home. Or I don't think he's hit 40 yet, but 38 or whatever it was.
Excellent job, Cal. Still my favorite producer of
the
DFA show on the DNVR Rockies podcast.
There's a trick, though, that takes the pressure of the first pick in the draft totally off of my shoulders.
By the way, I suck with the first pick. Like when we did our food contest, I mean, I went hot dog. I mean, that was super easy. But then after that, Tankville. So, you might have just set me up there. That was not cool. But now, Cale, maybe you can decide the only other little rule we have to decide is if someone were to say with their pick, Charlie Blackmon, completely forgetting that Charlie Blackmon was an all-star. Cale, do you think that person should lose their pick or just go again?
I just think they should just have to pick someone else.
It's like, that's too harsh, man. It's too harsh.
Fun, but okay, decided it. Okay, that's fine.
All right. In that case, then I'll go ahead and remind people up front of 2 names. Can I give 2 names who were all-stars? So you might be thinking, or should I not?
I'm going to run down the list of all 27 for anyone who's listening, so that we know ahead of time that, hey, if you're going to be banging the table going, why doesn't anyone pick Larry Walker? Well, because he was an all-star, but there are 26 other guys. So who are you thinking off the bat that maybe most people would forget was at least an all-star for one season?
The 2 I double-checked while looking through outfielders particularly were, Jeffrey Hammonds.
All-star.
And Preston Wilson.
All-star.
Yeah.
I would venture to say maybe some fans would remember Sean Chacon as an all-star, but he was indeed an all-star. So real quick, and I'm just going to I'll just, starting from 1993, Andres Galarraga was the first one. And then from there in chronological order, Dante Bichette, Vinny Castilla, Eric Young Sr., Ellis Burks, Larry Walker, Todd Helton. Those are the first 7 all-stars. That's freaking amazing.
Pretty solid list, yeah.
That's insane. And then it gets a little bit cloudy for a decade.
A decade, yeah.
But again, guys, these guys were still really good for the Rockies at that time. But you're going to go, wait, what? Jeff Cirillo, Jeffrey Hammonds, Mike Hampton, Sean Chacon, Preston Wilson, Brian Fuentes, it's getting a little better, Matt Holliday, Aaron Cook, Jason Marquis, Brad Haupt, Ubaldo Jimenez, Troy Tulowitzki, Carlos Gonzalez, Michael Kadire, Charlie Blackmon, DJ LeMahieu, Nolan Arenado, Greg Holland, Trevor Story, and David Dahl. Those are your 27 All-Stars for the Colorado Rockies, none of which can be selected in our draft. Drew, were there any names in there that you had forgotten and you had on your list really high?
There was one name I had forgotten that I had considered for my list, but it wasn't. No. Unfortunately, actually, if I'm going to out myself, it was my guy Jeff Cirillo. I had forgotten. I didn't even check. I had assumed that he hadn't been.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, hey, that might be a nice little steal later in the draft. Get at third base, but I mean, I'm a little bummed about it, but I'll be fine.
Ooh, all right. Let's see how that impacts our draft. All right. So, well, with the first pick, man, much pressure. Can I trade the first pick for your second and third pick? So I have the second, third, and fourth. But in all seriousness, are you interested in that or no?
No.
Okay.
No, let's not do that.
I am, because I've got some concerns with depth at this position. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and take the player with the most wins above replacement for a NA-star on the batting side, Dexter Fowler, my first pick.
Wow. Dexter Fowler with the very first overall pick in the NA-Stars draft. Look at that.
Was finished 8th in the Rookie of the Year award voting in 2009. He's first in power speed among NAs, first in win probability added. He hit home runs from both sides of the plate twice, and in fact is the only Rockies player to do that. And that's why he's my number one pick in our All-Stars draft.
Wow.
What do you think?
No, I like the pick. I am a little bit surprised. It's funny. So I had been debating what to do if I ended up with the number one pick all day. And there were basically two options in my mind. One was something very much like this. And I totally understand the rationale behind it. Taking a position of need, going, strategy. The other way I thought of, which is what I'm going to do right now. And with the second overall pick, my first overall take, while there may be a little more depth here, surprisingly, actually, at this position. I didn't want to overthink it too much, and I also want to respect the integrity of this draft. And I can't let this player fall too far. I have to take as the anchor of my starting rotation the best pitcher in Colorado Rockies history, left-hander Jorge De La Rosa. I got to take JDLR. I'm really glad he's here and available at the number 2 pick. Wasn't sure, how much he's more of a. We've even talked about this. He's never had those dominant seasons. He's an over consistent set of time type of guy. But with De La Rosa, I've got a captain of my rotation, and I feel like I've got a steadiness that I can feel like I've got someone I can count on. I feel really good about that. Jorge De La Rosa, anchoring my starting rotation, number 2 pick.
Great pick. Most wins above any player that we have on our list, 15.5 BWAR. So can't go wrong with that. As you said, best pitcher in Rockies history. Great first pick.
Yeah.
Up again.
Got to go De La Rosa. And now this one, I don't know if this will be a surprise. I don't know if this will be exactly who people are thinking of. And it's really interesting and bizarre and starts to become a question of how much extrapolating are we doing? How much, because this is the first guy on the list who will only have played for the Colorado Rockies for a year. Well, really, actually a year and a half, but this not around for very long, nowhere near as long as Dexter Fowler or Jorge De La Rosa. Still associated with the organization though. And this is a little bit of my concern about depth at the position and me being able to just get the best player available. So I'm taking second baseman. I'm going up the middle, Kazuo Matsui.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I had him seventh on my
help spelling this one.
Kaz Matsui, Kaz Matsui. Like all the Matsuis you've encountered in your life up to this point. Matsui.
You got it. You got it.
3.4 wins above replacement in 2007. Tied for second for most WAR in a single season.
Yeah.
And
the most shorthanded defense at second base I've ever seen in my life. That's over DJ LeMahieu. That year, I think he made 4 errors. I think one of them cost him a game in Chicago. But like he was absolutely incredible. And the bat, WRC Plus doesn't love him like anybody who hits at Coors Field and doesn't have a lot of power. But anyone who watched him remembered, I think he also hit like only 4 home runs that year. But consistent from both sides of the plate, stole 30 plus bags that year. Just a great all-around player, underrated. Yeah, I'm getting the one season of him, but if I can extrapolate his 3+ WAR, like you said, I feel like I'm getting way more upside at second base than too many of the other guys who are going to be available in this draft.
I got another option at second base. I think that is somewhat comparable, but might not have the same, name recognition. So for that reason, I think there is a decent amount of gap between Kaz and this other guy. But I really thought when you talked about year and a half, short period of time, and depth at the
this is the other
one you're going with. I'm going to save him for my third. I'm going to save him for my third pick.
Fair enough.
Because I want to give the nod to the guy who you think most when you think of the Rockies, and that will be third baseman Garrett Atkins.
Yeah,
gotta have him. One of the few players who received MVP votes from our Null Stars. So fourth in Rookie of the Year voting in 2005. He got those MVP votes in 2006. 28.3 home runs or at bats per home run, third highest among the Null Stars. Had a 5 WAR season, the highest for a single season of any player that we have on our list. 965 OPS in that year in 2006. So he's an absolute must-have because he's just a beast. Garrett Atkins, loved him.
Can't argue at all with that. Will asked a question about the last pick. Just did Matsui hit that one grand slam in the postseason, or did he hit another home run? Yeah, that was a grand slam against the Phillies. I believe it was the first game of the NLDS. So he really set some momentum for the team that year. Yeah, and Garrett Atkins also incredibly important for that same ball club. So, these next 2 picks are the 2 guys who I think these are the 2 guys you had to take. These are
and they were my top 3. And the guy I actually had first, but I just didn't have the guts to pull the trigger on it because of Fowler's WAR and his seasons with the club and still just great standing I think within the organization and all of MLB. Had to have him first, but the guy that I really had number 1 overall simply because there's no real depth at the position. At first base, you've had Andres Galarraga for half a decade.
Right.
Fantastic guy. You've got for nearly 2 decades Todd Helton at first base. Then you've got the whole Ian Desmond era. Kidding, folks. But Justin Morneau.
Yeah.
Have to have Justin Morneau here in this spot. Wins probability added, third highest among Null Stars. Had a 3.4 WAR, tied with your guy Kaz Matsui. Also received MVP votes in that 2014 season. And, and I go back in my head, I go, Justin Morneau was an all-star that season. Probably should have been.
Should have been.
I would love to see who else was.
He got MVP votes. And I think he came in like 23rd for MVP, but
Absolutely. I'd love to go back and see, who were the National League first baseman that year, because Justin Morneau definitely was in that conversation and probably out of anybody was the biggest snub in a single season. So I got 3 bats here early on in the going, and I'm feeling good. This is going my way. I feel like.
Yeah, and I mean,
my scouting.
Your team can hit a little bit. I like that. I'm going a slightly different direction with it, but I'm going to have to shore some things up to make that work. Now that I see where your priorities lie, I think I've got to double down on priorities. Morneau won the batting title. He did win it. I was looking at that again today.
Yep.
He hit like 319. So some of that's also on the rest of the National League.
I think there was one year where Carl Yastrzemski had like a 307 batting average and no one else was over 300 that year in the league. So not quite that bad, but hey, you gotta wait. But again, that's what the award is the best of the best. So
right.
Another award I neglected to kind of point out, because not too many of these guys have actually won awards, because they're not all-stars, which is an award of a sort. But to then, win some kind of trophy, they're kind of few and far between. So you'll take the batting champ trophy.
Yeah.
There really isn't one, but it's WWE should send them a bet.
Totally right.
Batting champ 25-20. All right, Drew. You got third and fourth pick coming up here. I'm worried about you, man. You're dangerous right now.
Yeah, this is a spot where, I mean, this is some trouble. This is some trouble right here. I don't think I've got the player. I don't think I need to reach for that. So the first pick, I feel like I know where I'm going, just because I've got to shore up a spot, because I feel like you've taken the sort of unquestioned favorites at the corners of the infield. I have to lock up the middle. So for my next pick in this draft, I'm taking shortstop Clint Barmes.
Great pick.
I think he's going to give you the best combination of defense and offense. It is interesting that over his career with the Rockies, he didn't always get those two things to line up. His best defensive season by far, according to Fangraphs, was in 2006, but it was also his worst offensive season by far. He was really up and down throughout his career. The WRC plus numbers go 83, 90, 38, 18 in 27 games, 97. But, double-digit home runs a couple of times, had 13 stolen bases, 12 his last couple of years in. Great defense at shortstop. When you've got a healthy Clint Barmes, I think you've got a pretty solid up-the-middle guy. And, again, it's a spot where after him, there are some slim pickings and non-all-star shortstops for the Rockies. So I'll be interested to see what you do at that position now.
Yeah, no, I love that pick. I had him fourth on my board. As far as hitters go, he had the second most wins above replacement after Dexter Fowler. So I think he did really well there to again just pick up a fantastic player people fondly remember. And yeah, I like what you're doing there, going up the middle, trying to make that your area of expertise. Very nice, very nice. Still got one more pick too.
Yeah. Okay. Now I start playing the who do I think Patrick is going to take game. And I don't like, there's a player I really want to take, but no. Okay. I'm changing I'm going off my board already at this point. This is the first time.
Oh no.
I'm extending a little bit, and I'm going beyond a player who I maybe would rather have, but I think I can still get. And so right now for this pick, looking at your offense is scaring me a little bit. I need a bat. I need a bat is my problem. And so I'm going with, even though I feel like I can get other guys, I'm going with in left field, Corey Dickerson. I'm taking Corey Dickerson. He's not going to bring me much defensively, but he's going to rake. The guy was a 140 WRC plus player a couple of times, which is, 10, 20 points higher than what you typically get out of Nolan Arenado, at least from that statistic. I guess the 140 just the one time, then a 121. Other times in his career, he's been a great hitter as well, but we're only taking Rocky stuff. I don't get the benefit of him becoming a better defender after he left Colorado, though I'm also dubious about how much better of a defender he actually became and just how much smaller of an outfield he had to patrol. It's always part of it. But yeah, I need someone to anchor my lineup here. I can't just prevent you from scoring. I got to put some runs on the board. I needed Corey Dickerson there.
Yeah, seventh highest WAR among hitters who've never made an all-star appearance, 4.4 wins above replacement, and a stat I think that you like a little bit, wins probability added, WPA, second in this group. So had a 567
some clutch hits,
slugging percentage, I think, in 2014. So that was good. I had him 10th on my list. I only ranked about 11 guys because after that I know it's going to get crazy, but he was in my top 10. So I like that pick a lot.
All right, Patrick.
Here's where I can make it start to hurt maybe a little bit. since if this is a game of chess now, you're playing my game. You had to go with the bats. So you left some pitchers exposed. I don't know I'm going to go with my second pick, but with my first pick, nah, you know what? I'm just going to double them up. I'm going to call them the Double Mint Twins. Right here, I'm going to go Kyle Freeland and Germán Marquez. Back-to-back selections, just like that. They were guys who came up same general year, right? 2017. Both got Rookie of the Year award votes. Germán Marquez, a Silver Slugger winner, the only man on our list of non-All-Stars to have won Silver Slugger. We know Kyle Freeland, the most wins above replacement in a single season. One of the only 4 gentlemen to even get Cy Young Award vote, just a single vote. He got a little bit more than that in 2018, which was fantastic. And, fun fact of all of our NOS stars, Germán Marquez is the only one to have won the NL Pitcher of the Month award. I think just Houston Street and
that's interesting. Yeah.
No, not Houston Street. I can't remember who else has won the Pitcher of the Month award. He might be the only one, in fact, just in general. But he's definitely the only one that we've got on our list. So I make that easy. I need to furnish my rotation here. There are a lot more options than I would have imagined. I think maybe because they're clustered together a little bit, but nevertheless, take the hometown boy, Colorado kid, Kyle Freeland, and the gentleman who, at the end of all of this, could be the greatest Rockies pitcher of all time, Germán Marquez.
That's a good round. I feel like you had a good round there, picking up those guys. That's really smart what you did there. All right, right. And we're also going to pick up the pace on this thing as we move into this next bit. But before we do that, we got to remind you to check out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially with basketball coming back, because they are hooking you up with a fantastic deal. I know it feels like just a week and a half ago that what were they called? The Lake. I can't remember the name of the
Lockers.
Team. My understanding is that the NBA championship was won by a team, but who cares? We got a new season coming up, and that's all that matters now. So get on board, get excited, and get in the game with a couple of bets over at the DraftKings Sportsbook, because on opening night, they're hooking you up with this. If you use that promo code DNVR, they give you a plus 75-point spread on the team of your choice. So as long as the team you bet on doesn't lose by more than 75 points, you're going to get some money. Fantastic situation. Hook yourself up with a lot of fun and potentially a little bit of extra cash by using the DraftKings Sportsbook app on your phone and using that promo code DNVR when you sign up. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right.
Yeah.
My time for a couple of picks back to back here. You going with the pitchers made it again interesting in terms of what I'm going to do here. One guy, I feel like, so I'm going to counter with also a pair of pitchers.
Oh, true. Okay, this is interesting.
And I'm going to go with Pedro Estacio.
Mm-hmm. He's a human.
And now this is where I'm a little, I don't want to say that. I don't want to let you know what I'm thinking.
So while you're thinking, I'll say this about Pedro Estacio. He's a guy that I love Pedro Estacio. I think he's, we had Marvin Freeman on last week this time. Pedro Estacio is probably equally underrated, didn't garner any Cy Young Award votes, but, complete game machine, had a 5.9 WAR season in 99, 232 innings pitched in 1999, the most innings pitched by any Rockies player. Also hit 17 guys in a single season. So headhunter, sure, why not? You might as well. Yeah, dude was very, very underrated, and I would have loved to have had him. I think that's a fantastic pick for sure.
All right. Now, I'm going to do something that might surprise some people. It's going to feel like a reach, but I feel like, according to everything that I've said, this is the chance for me to put my money where my mouth is, Patrick.
Okay.
I keep talking about the strategy. I keep talking about the things that make the most sense from a Rocky standpoint. Where I'm assuming that our 7-game series that'll be played between these two teams is happening at Coors Field, right? And I'm actually going to take, even though I think there's a possibility, I think there's a strong possibility he could still have been on the board with my next pick. Okay. Just to be sure, I'm taking a closer. I'm taking Steve Reed. I'm taking the best relief pitcher in Rockies history by ERA plus. Didn't get a ton of saves or whatever, but I'm taking a guy who I know, whether he's my closer, my setup man, if I've got him in my bullpen, he's the Jorge De La Rosa of relief pitchers, right? My pen is reliable. His absolute lowest in his career, Patrick, for the Rockies in terms of ERA plus was a 129. I'm sorry, 127. He also put up a 129, a 132, and a 251. Then he came back at age 38 and put up a 153. And at age 39 for the Rockies, a 134. I mean,
I'm detecting a theme here. Underrated. A lot of underrated Rockies guys, both just as ball players and especially as Rockies guys. Steve Reed, just criminally underrated. My heart skipped a beat because you said closer, and I got to take this guy. I got to go Houston Street. I got to go Houston Street for my next pick. Maybe not his best seasons were with Colorado, but still very notable. Came over, in the Matt Holliday deal with Cargo, probably the greatest trade that the Rockies, I think, ever made. It did help lead to a lot more success that they had after that. Also, the only pitcher to ever get an MVP vote. That was in 2009. 84 saves, second most of any All-Star. Brian Fuentes has the most. Another gentleman is right after him, and third overall, second for an All-Star is Houston Street. First reliever to win NL Player of the Week award for the Rockies. 5 saves in a week in June of 2009, which is crazy. And the only NA to win Player of the Week. Converted 26 straight saves, the most of any Rockies closer. So I really like Houston Street here, and it pains me to I'll just say it with my next pick. The Purple Patrick Rockies, 7th overall, is going to select Juan Pierre. Drew,
you son of a.
Yeah. Well,
you son of a. You already have a center fielder.
Here's the thing. Like, you had 6 opportunities. I knew that there was a chance, depending on how sinister I was feeling, I may have had to select Juan Pierre like 3rd. I didn't go 4th, didn't go 5th. But
terrible.
Juan Pierre. I don't
know
what else.
Terrible.
The first thing, on his player bio is Drew's favorite Rockies player of all time.
Right. It's right there. Right there in it. It's right there.
It says it. I'm looking at his player bio. But again, 6 got some Rookie of the Year award votes, and 9th among All-Stars, and fantastic Rockies player. Better with the Marlins, but I think he's still very much fondly remembered. If we need to swing a deal after the pod, Drew, we will figure this out if we need. I
mean, I was playing it fast and loose because I thought you already had your center fielder, so I don't know where you're going to put Dex. Like he's playing out of position now, but that's fine. I mean, that's your problem.
I might go
you and your
center fielders and 5 infielders. If I've got Fowler and Juan Pierre, I got to figure.
They're going to cover some ground out there. Cover some ground. They're doing all right.
I do want to reinvent the wheel here, so I may do it with that.
All right. Okay. All right. I see how it is. I see what's going on here. I see what happened. In that case, because I'm very curious, because now I feel like I've got my pick of kind of a grouping in another set that I like all these guys. I'm going to double down on my pitching situation here. And I, again, am going to take two pitchers in a row. And I am going to select Armando Reynoso and John Gray in whatever order you want. Those are my two picks right here. I'm making sure that I can prevent some runs. I'm getting a very solid starting rotation. I want to make sure that I feel good about the most important spot on the diamond. And now I do right here. Depending on how we set it up, if we're playing a 7-game set and one of these guys needs to function a little more as a long reliever or whatever it is we're doing, I feel fantastic about where my pitching setup is now, and to eventually hand the ball to Steve Reed. Jorge De La Rosa, Pedro Estacio, Steve Reed, Armando Reynosa, John Gray. And I take a little bit of a risk with Gray because I feel like, fans don't give him quite enough credit for being as good as he actually is. They want him to be better than he's been. But when you look at the numbers, I feel fantastic about where in this draft I'm able to get the guy with the best strikeout rate in Rockies history. Like that's a pretty solid get.
Now, I know when we talked about this, we said 4 starting pitchers and 4 relievers. Are we stuck on that? Or do we say, you could do 5 starters and 3 relievers? What do you think? Because you've got 4 right now. And
I do, right. I mean, we could go either way. I think if you want to take a guy, let's say if you do that, you have to designate one of them as a long reliever.
A long reliever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to know because you're at 4. So I'm like, technically I wouldn't even need to pick another starting pitcher until my final 2 picks, which would
you don't necessarily
be
have
game
to.
in the system. But
but
I want to leave the door open for you to take another one if you want. So I think that'll make it a little more fun.
If I wanted a guy, in the bullpen.
Okay. So I need another starter myself, and the man who after Jorge De La Rosa has the most wins above replacement as a starting pitcher, that would be another left-hander by the name of Jhoulys Chacín.
He's a righty. Yeah.
I got too wrapped up in the idea of waiting to see how Kale would
try to spell
Jhoulys
Chacín. Let's see if I can still do it from memory and send him a message. I think I've got it.
This is a spelling bee, yeah. You might get a compensation pick if you can spell it.
Yeah. So this is one I considered, and I'm going to be very curious. This is where I played the odds again on the public, like they say in betting, where I don't feel like Colorado Rockies fans remember him as the guy who had the second most WAR of anyone in this group. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Even though I think you and I know that, and I've always said again, he was underrated when he was here, but especially with the way it ended. So I'll be curious to see what the fans think of that pick.
Okay, it's giving me some interesting insight. Well, if we're gonna look at that,
the Studious fans are gonna love it. I'll tell you that much.
if we want to kind of frame things in that way of like, hey, who do you remember and for why? I would have to go with my next pick, a Mr. Jeff Francis.
Yeah.
And there's my lefty. I had them bunched together.
There you go.
Still 10 wins above replacement for Jeff Francis. He's now my second starting pitcher to have received a Cy Young Award vote, finished 9th place in that magical 2007 season, only a couple years after finishing 6th in the Rookie of the Year award voting. So that would be my 4 starters, but we're going to get a little fast and loose and probably rope in another starter at some point, depending on how confident we feel in the remaining relievers, right?
Yeah, I think there's going to be an interesting kind of toss-up mix there, actually, to see of those guys which way you want to go with it. So, all right. So this is going to be really fascinating now. You've got it set up there. I think some of these guys are still going to be available, but I'm just going to start filling out the important spots on my team and thinking a little bit less about what you're going to do here. And I'm going to go ahead and no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't like that at all. I'm going to go with all right. I will. Do I want to take the smart stat pick or the guy that people like more? And I'm hoping that they don't double check this. I'm gonna go with Willie Tavares in center field. I'm gonna go Willie Tavares in center field.
Okay.
I thought about going with a different player there, who technically has some better stats, but I love the defense that I'm gonna get out of him. I love the base running I'm going to get out of him. Again, consistent guy at the plate, even though he wasn't always healthy. Still had almost 1,000 at bats. With Colorado, 851. The best stolen base percentage too for players who qualified. 68 stolen bases there. Single season record still standing and. And the way the game of baseball is played nowadays, I think he's going to have that record maybe forever till the robots start playing. And then I'm going to go with a guy who, you mentioned earlier, not a lot of depth at the position, but I think I'm going to win some of those fan favorite votes. And he was really good as a member of the Rockies at first base. Finally got to fill the spot. We know there hasn't been a great tradition there since Helton retired, but do not forget about Mark Reynolds. I'm going to take Mark Reynolds and slot him in over there at first base. I'm going to get some pop out of that bat. I'm going to get really good defense over there at first. Do I feel awesome about it? No, but I feel pretty good about these two picks, solidifying positions where, while I didn't get the ideal guy, I think I got better players than people would necessarily remember in these spots. So I feel good about it.
Yeah, one of only 2 All-Stars to have 30 or more home runs in a single season. So, and there have only been 2. Think about that. All the other guys with it 30 or more home runs, they're all of the names that those are all the All-Stars. And only 2 guys that, aren't thought about in that way are on that list, which is pretty impressive. All right. Well, with my next pick, I got a couple of options to go with. And, you talk about the feeling that people have towards a certain player and you're like, is it good? Is it bad? You want people to have good feelings towards a player. Yeah, that might garner you a little bit of favor when it comes time to saying who's got the better team. And with this gentleman, there's some good. There's also not some good. That's going to be shortstop Walt Weiss. I'm going to have he's going to be my starting.
People like Walt Weiss. Yeah,
I think so. Well, he was a manager during a rough time, but did help see through that growth of a lot of those young guys like Arenado and Story, Dahl to a degree, and a lot of ABs. Just under 2,000 for. Mr. Walt Weiss, 16 intentional walks. You might not think about him as getting a lot of intentional walks, but tied for 5th and had a .403 on-base percentage, one of only 3 guys to be over 400 on-base percentage of our All-Stars, and also the only Rockies person to ever play for and manage the Colorado Rockies.
There you go.
Kind of neat.
That's a good pick.
We've said it many times that the one hole that the Rockies have had. I
was wondering when we were going to get to this.
Yeah, they've had a lot of. They haven't had a lot of holes, but they've had one hole that has definitely popped up a lot, and it's behind the plate, and it's with the catcher spot. They've never had a catcher as an All-Star. That's their one position that they've yet to fulfill. And there's guys who've had the short bursts or had that lot of potential, and you say, this could have been the guy. But if you're looking at just the numbers at who's done the most and, who is there for the most playoff games and playoff runs in Colorado Rockies history, there is only one man, which makes it somewhat of a no-brainer. He was 5th on my list, so I'm going to go ahead and take Chris Iannetta. 7 wins above replacement as a Rockies player, good for 4th highest among All-Stars, 1st in intentional walks, 2nd in home runs, and at-bats per home runs, 23.4 at-bats for every home runs, 6 opening day starts, most as a catcher. Feeling really good. I got him as my starting backstop.
Yeah, that's the first catcher to take, but I wanted you to take him, so I'm happy with that. I was ready. It is funny that they've never had an all-star catcher, and it took us that long to even get to their best non-star catcher. But yeah, okay, solid picks there for you. Solid picks. I'm going to go a little quicker here and start filling out my outfield a little bit more. Take a name who I think is a little bit lost in Rockies history, not somebody people remember especially well. Shoot, where did my list go? Okay, yeah. But I am actually going to take Darryl Hamilton. Darryl Hamilton from the early days.
I know Kale likes that.
Yeah.
Because of the play,
Big Darryl Hamilton guy. But had some very solid years for the Colorado Rockies. Get a little bit of a pop in the bat out there in the corner outfield.
Okay. He was on my list of 107 players. That's all I got on him.
I mean, where are the numbers here? I was trying to find out. Yeah, put up a solid 113 OPS plus, and then the next year a 93 OPS plus, but hit over 300 both years. 335 batting average, 406 on base. 469 slugging, not a ton of slugging there. Only hit 5 home runs and then 9 the next year. So I'm not getting a ton of home runs out of him, but a very solid contact hitter, good defender out there. Got to get him set up out there. I need to fill out my outfield. And so somebody I don't think people necessarily remember played for the Rockies, but there he is, and he did. And then I'm going to go also because you just haven't, because I feel like I can get quality out of him at catcher, just fill a spot. I'm going to take Jeff Reed. Nowhere near as popular as Chris Iannetta in terms of, longevity, because people remember Iannetta was there for a long time, more or less started and ended his career with the Rockies, though technically Yankees, I guess. But yeah. But Jeff Reed only, a year or two, but he put up some big numbers at the plate those years for the Rockies. So very, very happy with my selection there at catcher. Where is it? The 1 year he had
he was 8th among all-stars in wins above replacement, just under 1,000 at bats. That's a lot. That's a lot for a Rockies catcher for sure.
And I'm taking Jeff Reed.
All right. Well, I almost have a full 9 or starting 8 for my lineup, so I might as well round it out. In the off chance that you maybe start trying to bolster your team just a little bit. You know what? For my final outfielder, I think I'm going to go ahead and select Mr. Saturday Night, Seth Smith.
Oh, interesting choice. I like that.
Yeah, I'm going Seth Smith. I had him 11th on my list. 3.1 wins above replacement, 1,200 at bats with the Rockies. WPA win probability added 10th among our all-stars. So again, if we're giving extra points for folks feeling fondly about him, he has to be on that list. I think to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And well, shoot, if I'm going with the award winners, and I know I already got 4 guys in my rotation, and I'll have to sort it out with the coaching staff. We'll see who's going to transition best to the bullpen. I got to pick the only rookie of the year in Rockies history, and the only man to start off our podcast today. That would be Jason Jennings, the 2002 rookie of the year. Also tied for the most shutouts in a single season, which was 3. Tied, of course, with Ubaldo, the All-Star Jimenez. So 5 starting pitchers, feel really good. All 5 of those guys, 10 wins above replacement or more. Not bad. You might forget and say, hey, the Rockies pitching has been questionable. Maybe, but there have been some really good gems, a couple good diamonds in the rough within those years.
Yeah, no, quality picks there. I like that. Okay, for my final position player, I need a third baseman, and since you took yours so early and there weren't a whole lot of great picks there, I did wait this long. There were a couple interesting ones in the mix, but I'm going to go with Charlie Hayes at third base. Again, another early guy where fans, I'm not going to win over a ton of fans here, where maybe, their heart. Another guy, well, maybe I won't mention him because somebody's thinking about a bench, but I got to go with Charlie Hayes at third base. Where are his Colorado years? There we go. He 118 OPS plus in 93, a 90 and 94, but hit 305 with 25 home runs, 522 slugging in 93 for the Colorado Rockies. An original Colorado Rocky, led the league in doubles that year with 45. And just a few years later, those with Philadelphia, he would even get a few MVP votes, finished 16th. So Charlie Hayes at third base is who I'm going to take.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, second ever player of the week for the Rockies and second highest, or rather fourth highest WAR for that 3.3 season, inaugural season in 93. I think that's a fantastic one. You still have one more pick?
Yep. And because it's been the key of my team, I'm just going to go pitching again. I'm going to keep going this direction. And I'm going to take actually another guy who technically is not a closer. But again, I'm worried about floor. I'm worried about, I just want consistent pitching out of my bullpen. We'll worry about whose job is what. I'm playing it very analytic here. Kill the save, right? Hashtag kill the save. So I'm going to take Rafael Betancourt with the next pick here, because I know that I can get a million innings out of the guy, and each one of them is going to take a half an hour to get through. But yeah, that's who I'm taking. I feel very good about, again, the quality and steadiness of my bullpen and my pitching staff in general. These guys can throw it.
Well, I like that you went with Betancourt there. So I'm going to have to go in my bullpen and pick up Mr. Manny Corpus.
Yeah.
Which,
solid pick. I hope people remember how good he actually was, except I don't, because I want to win this thing. But I suspect maybe fans won't remember. But you also got to take the Manny Corpus years where he wasn't quite as good. But as far as single season, if you could just take one guy's one season, Manny Corpus's 07 might be the season to take.
Yeah. Yeah, unquestionably. Also, the most blown saves in a season. How many do you think he had? How many do you think any closer should get?
7?
9.
Oh,
He had, what was it, 9? I forget where I put this note, but yeah, 9 blown saves in 2008. So fantastic in 2007, not so much in 2008, but still, very high up on the rankings list as far as WAR, wins above replacement for a Rockies reliever. Man, I only got one guy left in my top 11, and I need a second baseman, so I might as well go ahead and grab the guy who's just a notch below Mr. Kaz Matsui. That would be, who do you think, Drew? Who's just a notch below? Who do you have second on your depth chart at second base?
Who did I have second on my depth chart? Well, I had a couple of guys kind of in a – I don't want to tell you because I might take one of those guys from my bench and you might not be thinking about him. But
all right, Jamie Carroll, 3.3 wins above replacement in 2006, tied for fourth highest.
Oh.
People might forget how good of a defender he was too, because he actually has the Rockies record for highest fielding percentage for second baseman, 995. Also in that 2006 season, pivotal sacrifice fly that, we all remember Todd Helton slamming his hand on home plate in game 163 while Jamie Carroll slammed that ball to right field in order to score that run. So I feel good with having him as my starting second baseman.
That's fair. I like that. You've done a lot of work on the hearts of the fans on that one, especially too. And you mentioned there's a WAR case to be made, but fans are going to give you a moment out of that for sure. Okay, quality pick there. Got to speed through these last ones here as we try to wrap up. I'm going to need Kale to do me a huge favor here too, and I'm going to try to not admit like I didn't totally make a mistake earlier and take this player now as we move Darryl Hamilton onto my bench for my first bench guy will be Darryl Hamilton. I was searching for the other older Rockies player from that era who was in the outfield who could hit that I needed in right field, and it was actually Mike Kingery. That's the guy that I need in my outfield from that era who can hit. So I got to take Mike Kingery as my actual right fielder. There we go. Nailed it. And then you can move Hamilton onto the bench there for me. Fantastico. And then before I get into the bench, I've still got a couple more pitcher spots. Patrick went to Manny Corpus. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna again count on Rockies fans remembering the good times and forgetting the bad, and I'm gonna take Adam Ottavino.
Solid pick. Third most amount of games by a All-Star pitcher. How about that?
There you go. Look at you.
It's a good pick. Adam. Got to put him on my big board here. I wish I did have a big chalkboard behind me. Alas, I just have
be scratching off the names and stuff.
Yeah, Google spreadsheet. That's it. Yeah, I got one guy left. I got one guy left for my bullpen, and I got my bench going here. Don't really know where else I want to go. I could just take the player with the highest amount of wins above replacement in a Rockies uniform. Do I want a guy who, Rockies is somewhat synonymous with Rockies fans? You know what? I think I will. I think I will go ahead and pick Mr. Willeen Rosario. Now, I wasn't exactly sure if I was going to go with two catchers. We didn't necessarily need one for this fun activity, but dude got Rookie of the Year votes in 2012, 1,500 at-bats with the Rockies. Only 1.6 WAR total, but, first All-Star as far as at-bats per home run. Every 21.3 at-bats, he went deep, hit 28 home runs in 2012, which is fantastic. So, and the guy's still only about 27 years old. So, right. Yet he's not an MLB. Love Willeen Rosario.
Love it. All right.
I still got one more pick too.
Yeah.
So then I'm looking around here. I got my backup catcher. Man, I think we're making this harder than it needs to be because we just like so many of these guys. Yeah. All right, I forgot the other guy I had, and you know what? Maybe I have a platoon. We'll see who's the hot hand. But another guy that Rockies fans should remember pretty well, and I thought he might have been an All-Star at some point here. Did get a Rookie of the Year award vote in 1997. Has a couple records in Rockies history. So I'm going to take as a backup middle infielder, if you will, Mr. Neifi Perez. Tied for most games played in a single season. Twice he played all 162 games.
Right.
The value, we definitely appreciate 732 plate appearances, most in a single season. Hit the second cycle in Rockies history, and the only All-Star to win a Gold Glove. That was in the year 2000. Another trophy in my team's trophy case. Really happy about Neifi Perez.
Yeah, and no, Kale, not even close, but it's fine. We love you. I wouldn't expect anyone who's ever not seen the name Neifi to get it. Going to plow right through here, take a couple of one-season wonders for the back of my apparently I'm taking all the relievers who are phenomenal but never actually closers. I'm going to finish out my pitching staff with Gabe White. I'm taking that 1 year of phenomenal ridiculousness out of Gabe White. I feel fantastic about my bullpen there. And I'm going to go to the bench and provide myself with a little bit of insurance at my weakest position, a little bit of potentially a platoon if Mike Kingery struggles against left-handed pitching. That's the spot where I was obviously least happy about my pick. And I'm going to take Jay Payton, right-handed outfielder that I think, again, a lot gets lost in the mix, man. You could very easily make the case that he should start on my team here. The year he was out here in 2002, a 139 OPS plus. The next year, a 110 OPS plus. Defense isn't entirely there, but I may even need to get Kale to swap that one around again. My right field has just been an absolute disaster. But Jay Payton and Mike Kingery are splitting time out there. Whatever. I like him. I need him. I'm feeling much better about my outfield now.
Fantastic. All right, man. I got some burly boys to play in the outfield. I just don't know who I want to select there as my fourth outfielder. I think, man. All right. I'm gonna go with Mr. Jeremy Burnitz.
Yeah.
Now he played one season with Colorado, got MVP votes in 2004. Which is fantastic. Had a 916 OPS, third highest for an All-Star, 37 home runs, the most home runs in Rockies history. for a player who did not make the All-Star, and he was the All-Star to ever get an MVP vote. So I'm going to take him. I got 2 more picks left. I only got 1 going up right here. I do need another reliever, and I am going to select I'm going to select I need a lefty in my pen, so I'm going to go ahead and select Bruce Ruffin. 6.8 WAR, tied for 4th most amount of saves in Rockies history, 60 with Wade Davis. So even though it's a tie between Ruffin and Davis, I think we're going to give the edge to Ruffin and make him officially 4th, and Wade Davis, sorry, but you're 5th now.
All right. Yeah, I like that. I think that's solid. Okay, with the final 2 picks for my team, I'm going to take 2 kind of polar opposite players to give me some versatility off of the bench. Well, I guess do I need to take a backup catcher? Because you took a backup.
You don't have to.
So
no, we said you didn't necessarily have to.
Okay. I mean, I could. I feel like I could, but I'm going to take Todd Walker, actually, because he could play 2nd, 3rd, and 1st. He reminds me of a time when the Colorado Rockies got randomly obsessed with players named Todd. Helton, Walker. Another guy I thought about maybe getting into this draft, but I don't think he's going to get taken here unless you take him. Todd Zeal, Todd Hollandsworth.
Todd Zeal wasn't even on my list, to be honest.
All of those guys, really?
Hollandsworth was. It was either Hollandsworth or Burnitz. Hollandsworth, better Rockies overall career for sure.
Yeah. Hollandsworth. Todd Hollandsworth is a player I was really hoping we were going to get to talk about today, where we really got to wrap this thing up as quickly as possible. But, man, there's even more guys, so look at us and how silly we are. And the final guy that I'm going to take, again, I'm trying to win fan votes. I'm also trying to shore up my bench. I need a feared hitter off the plate, and I'm going to take Jason Giambi. I'm going to finish out my bench with Jason Giambi. Rocky's version of Jason Giambi, but Rocky's version of Jason Giambi could still rake off the bench. And because, Mark Reynolds is also maybe a little bit of a question mark at first, I like having the possibility to throw him out there every once in a while if I need to.
I very much like that. All right, Kale, I need you to help break the tie here. I got 2 current Rockies players. Do I want Ryan McMahon or do I want Ryan Spilborghs or Corey Sullivan? Spilly, most pinch hits in consecutive at-bats, 5 consecutive pinch hits. Corey Sullivan, most sacrifice hits in a game, 4. Also had a 19-game road hitting streak, and Ryan McMahon is just Rymac. He's Mac the Knife. Which of those 3 options do you think I need to look at?
I'd go with Spilly.
Ryan Spilborghs. All right, Ryan Spilborghs. There we go.
There it is.
He's got experience in NPB, playing over in Japan with the Seibu Lions. Fantastic, pinch hitter. I think he had a career 300 average, over 300 as a pinch hitter. So I definitely don't mind having 2 outfielders on my bench there. One of them can DH, and Spilly's my guy off the bench. He's fantastic. So I'm happy about that. Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. Apologies to Todd Hollandsworth, John Vanderwall, who's actually listed as a pinch hitter, and I was hoping someone would take him. Gerardo Parra. If I had taken a backup catcher, it would have been Yorvit Torrealba. Believe it or not, all those players, and you might have thought, hey, there's some slim pickings here. But as Patrick said, there's a lot more names on his list than on mine, and those were just some of the guys I was really hoping, we'd have a chance to look at.
Ian Stewart was on the table for me. I was like, do I? And starting pitchers, there was Kevin Ritz, 7.3 wins above replacement as Rockies. The only pitcher to have 2 stolen bases in Rockies history is Kevin Ritz.
I thought about taking Mike Hampton just for the duel. I was like, I'm going to get.
He was an all-star.
Oh, that's right.
Mike Hampton was an all-star. Marvin Freeman, our dude. Darryl Kyle, 230 innings pitched in 1999. Yeah. 35 starts, tied for the most in franchise history. Jose Jimenez, 102 saves, right behind Brian Fuentes with 115. I think most Rockies
between him and Gabe White for my.
I didn't think people knew who Jose Jimenez was, so I go but he had the record with 41 saves.
Yeah.
Before Holland, tied and Davis beat that record. The previous record before Jimenez had 41 in 2002. The record was 31. He blew that out the water.
Yeah.
A lot of talent still left we'll let Kale pick the rest of it on his
Twitch. Right. Let us know out there who you think drafted the better team. We'll have Kale do all the hard work and put together a graphic, and then we'll share it all with all of you, and you can vote. Let us know who you think. And Wild the Innocent, I don't think anyone actually wants to see us run those games. But if there is enough outcry, then we'll do it. Will says Matt Belial was robbed. Who can argue with that? So, again, this was a whole lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you all had almost as much fun as we did with this. Share all of your thoughts and opinions on social media at Drew Creasman, at Patrick D. Lyons, at DNVR_Rockies, at Kel Sorbo. You can email us, Drew or Patrick, at thednvr.com. Subscribe to the DNVR.com so you don't miss out on any of that written content. Plus, you get discounts on shirts, hats, masks. Sometimes you get a bigger beer when you come to, well, actually, every time you get a bigger beer when you come down to the DNVR bar once that thing gets up and going again. And we just love having you be a part of the community, love having you be a part of the family. You get to come talk to us in our private Discord chat, talk about your favorite movies and music and video games and whatever's going on in your life. And you can, Wild the Innocent, you can come and demand that we run the games and play all the Colorado Rockies most people have never heard of against each other for your entertainment. It wouldn't not be fun. So thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for being so enthusiastic about it. Just keep being absolutely awesome out there. I promise you we will keep being absolutely Patrick Lyons, Drew Creasman, and Kel Sorbo in here. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark.